Bienvenue à tous. Welcome to Reporters here on France 24. I'm Mark Owen. In this edition, France and the new ecological movements that have ditched petitions and demonstrations for more direct forms of action. Our reporters Claire Paquelin and Karina Chabour were allowed into the inner circle of two of the groups trying to reshape the environmental debate. They say the well-meaning COP21 Paris Accords have basically failed, and their own brand of green action is the way ahead, even if that means falling foul of the law.
Being seen, being heard, and declaring a climate emergency. Extinction Rebellion, AMV COP21.
La politique du gouvernement prend l'eau.
Two young movements dedicated to the cause. The days of marches and petitions are over. For them, the fight to save the planet is now or never. In a secret location near Paris. The rebels, as they call themselves, are preparing. There we go. It's through. 31-year-old Copperhead is coordinating a group that plans to blockade roads.
The idea is to wrap the strap tightly around our wrists and then to clip it inside so that it won't be easy to move our arms. We've already used this system several times in the past, just like this, with concrete inside.
A tattoo artist, she joined the movement a year ago, attracted by its emphasis on art. Like many here, this is her first experience of being an activist.
The goal is to have people using their bodies to create a barrier peacefully. It's effective, it works, and that's the image we want, particularly in the media.
Founded in the United Kingdom 2 years ago, Extinction Rebellion says it has 22,000 members in France. Drac is 27 years old. He's a civil engineer and a rebel.
I got involved during the protests against plans to change the pension system. I'd had enough of feeling useless and angry against the government, and also fearing for the future. I wanted to climb, and this movement allows me to climb in a political way and to express myself. It's great. It's exactly what I want to be part of.
Anton, who's also 27, was among the first to sign up in France. He's left his family and communal farm project behind in Burgundy for a few days of protests in Paris.
Since my baby was born, he's 10 months old now, I think twice before going ahead with protests which carry big risks. But then I look at him and I think, if we don't do this and things continue as they are, his life will be awful. He'll never be able to have his own children. Doing nothing is worse.
3 days later.
Say you're going to the Sorbonne, you're on your way to class or whatever.
Copperhead and her group are gearing up for an act of civil disobedience. The exact location is secret, so the police don't find out what they're planning.
Leah will show you a map so you know exactly where you're going. Here, take a look. To avoid information about where we're going or what's planned being leaked, we don't reveal all the details to everyone at the same time.
The rebels arrive in discreet, small groups. And then suddenly, Copperhead, Anton, Drac, and the other rebels are planning to occupy this junction in central Paris for as long as they can. Their target, the Environment Ministry.
Contre quoi?
Pour le climat, la planète. Comme ça ne veut rien dire le climat, bon.
Je comprends leur fureur, mais que faire hein?
Alors messieurs les policiers, rejoignez-nous, nous voulons ça pour vous, pour vos enfants.
Malheureusement aujourd'hui, il faut agir de la sorte pour se faire entendre, donc je les soutiens, ouais.
They've barely begun setting up.
Vous faites quoi, monsieur? Pourquoi vous attrapez quelqu'un comme ça, voisin? Non, vous attrapez pas les gens. Assieds-toi. Vous lui tordez la jambe, là. On va rapporter. Vous travaillez pour des multinationales.
Allez, debout, on se met debout.
The 150 rebels try every tactic they know to slow down the police's dismantling of their blockade.
C'est pas avec nous qu'il faut discuter. Nous, on est juste là pour établir l'ordre, c'est tout.
On va être obligé de les forcer à regagner le trottoir, donc on va employer la force, donc automatiquement, visuellement, ça va moins bien donner que si on les accompagne verbalement.
To break apart the arm locks, the police use mallets and disc cutters.
Attention avec la masse! Pourquoi vous cachez?
Tu lui demandes s'il veut descendre, sinon je coupe tout de suite.
Coupez la corde et c'est tomber. Lâche. Parce que c'est un déni de démocratie, ces gens qui foutent la merde. Voilà.
I'm pleased, although I'm a bit disappointed that it was over so quickly. I would have preferred it if we could have kept the banner and if they hadn't cut the rope.
Drac and 7 others are taken into custody.
They can throw us in prison, but we won't give up. If one of us falls, 100 others will rise up. They're preventing a discussion, so we'll act instead.
Not far away.
We put his head upside down because his policies are going in the wrong direction.
Another movement, a different direct action, for the same cause.
These are the official portraits we took down last year in Paris.
37-year-old Pauline gave up her job as a pharmaceutical scientist to become an activist. She took down dozens of the presidential portraits found in all town halls in France.
The goal is to reuse the portraits to show that the government's policies are failing and all the promises made to the French people were worthless.
She's been charged with theft and is due in court soon. A river patrol arrives. The activists hold a quick press conference. The police check their identities and seize the portraits. A successful publicity stunt for Pauline.
We got the photos we wanted. Our media strategy for the court case has been launched.
Pauline and the 7 other activists on trial with her want their court case to serve as pressure on the government. A few hours after his arrest, Drac, the climber, is released from custody. He and a group of rebels wait outside the police station, for the 7 others still inside.
It's really important that we help each other and that we stick together so we activists don't burn out, get depressed, or feel like we've taken on too much. Or end up just feeling depressed by the fight and the burden that comes with it.
It's a kind of internal psychotherapy session, and it really helps. We help each other deal with shock.
Working in shifts, they ended up staying for 30 hours, for the 7 remaining rebels to be released. The day of the court case has arrived. After a 2-hour hearing, they'll now have to wait 2 months for the verdict. Pauline says she has no regrets.
It's the price we have to pay to make things move in the right direction. Together, we'll continue our actions of civil disobedience because that's what drives society forward. We've seen that throughout history.
A climatologist and former vice president of the International Panel on Climate Change gave evidence in support of the activists.
When you have young people arrested, it sends a strong message. It helps to raise awareness of the alarm bells that have been sounded by scientists for decades now. Not always very effectively.
Pauline's family have come to support her. She risks a €500 fine and, above all, a criminal record.
It would prevent me from working as a pharmaceutical scientist if I ever wanted to go back to that. It wouldn't be possible with a criminal record. I could make a request for it to be cleared, but it would be a long and costly process.
Working for the movement, she earns €1,500 a month, down from the €3,500 she was earning in her old job.
When your child is in an unstable situation, obviously it's worrying. She's living off the minimum wage. Before she was earning 3, 4 or 5 times more. And in Paris, that's meant a big change. It wasn't a straightforward decision.
She's much happier in what she's doing now than before, even though it hasn't been easy and there have been a few issues.
I can't see myself committing in the way that she has, but I support her completely, without a doubt.
Like Pauline, 80 other activists were charged with theft for having taken down a total of 149 official portraits of the French president. The source of inspiration for artists, these caricatures have gone up for auction.
Ceci est peut-être dans votre portefeuille et dans votre envie de soutenir. Ça commence à 50 €. Qui dit mieux? 50 € madame, c'est bien. Combien? 300. 300. 400. Regarde de voix. 1 000 €. 3 points jugés.
€5,000 were raised for the activists' legal expenses and for future actions. After failing to set up camp outside the Environment Ministry, the rebels are trying to regather their strength.
I'll put them over there so they can't hear us.
Anton and his group fear their phones are being wiretapped.
There are loads of us who don't want to give up. I'm thrilled to try something new, this time against the construction industry, against concrete.
Cement production accounts for 8% of the world's CO2 emissions. The rebels are targeting Lafarge, the world's biggest producer, accused of polluting the Seine River and funding the Islamic State group to keep its plant in Syria operating.
There are people who dare to call us terrorists. They should take a look at who's funding the Islamic State group, and then we can talk. They're responsible for 2 million deaths in the world because of climate change. What are these companies up to? This is environmental suicide on a large scale. They're leading the drive toward mass extinction. I'm telling it like it is.
Their plan is to block the trucks which supply building sites with concrete.
C'est bon?
They head to the production plant in Pantin, just outside Paris. But as soon as they close in on the trucks,
Monsieur, calmez-vous.
the drivers, Lafarge subcontractors, intervene.
Monsieur, vous sentez-vous? Le live. C'est un lieu privé. On est vraiment désolé. Ça me gêne énormément parce que
This really angers me because they're targeting truck drivers. We're just poor workers. Go to the head office, go speak to them. But don't target us poor guys.
S'il vous plaît. Ah, vous arrêtez, monsieur. Monsieur, arrêtez-vous.
It's difficult because, as usual, we're up against the people working on these sites. But if this doesn't stop, no one will have a future. Calm down.
Calmez-vous.
After an hour, the police arrive. The firm appears keen to lower the tension. It doesn't make a formal complaint to the police, so there are no arrests. Lafarge suspends production for the day, sends the truck drivers home, and its communication director arrives at the scene.
We don't talk to each other enough.
Clearly.
We're moving towards low-carbon production methods for all the concrete we produce. What does that mean? It means a reduction of 30, 40, 70%. I understand why you're in a hurry.
The scientific data speaks for itself.
We're fully committed to developing the production of concrete so as to reduce its carbon footprint. Get in touch.
Will do.
Good luck trying to prevent mass extinction. It was intense.
I can understand why they were angry because they're going to lose money. I'm still convinced we have to do this, but when you're faced with their reality, it's intense.
We didn't have enough information about the trucks, who they belong to, the companies, and the subcontractors.
Despite their doubts, over 2 days, the anti-concrete rebels blocked 7 production plants in the region. They published and shared their actions across social media, hoping to inspire and recruit others to join their cause.
Our report by Claire Paquelin and Karina Chabour. That's it for this edition. The experts say our world is under threat. Maybe it's up to us all to now make the changes that are required to make that difference. Stay with us. Most of all, do stay safe.